We are witnessing the funeral of the middle class. It is happening right in front of our eyes in slow motion, and yet nobody wants to admit it. Politicians won't say it because they need your votes. The media won't say it because they need your attention. And your boss won't say it because he needs your labor. But the math screams it. If you feel like you are working harder today than you did 5 years ago, but you have less to show for it, you are not imagining things. You are experiencing the structural collapse of the economic bracket that defined the 20th century. In 1960, a single income could buy a house, a car, support a family, and save for retirement. Today, 2 incomes barely cover rent and childcare. The latter has been pulled up. In 2026, we are entering a new economic era. I call it the Great Bifurcation. The middle is disappearing. You are either moving up toward the asset-owning class or you are sliding down toward the dependent class. There is no neutral ground anymore. The conveyor belt that used to carry people comfortably from graduation to retirement has stopped moving. In fact, it is moving backward. This is a tragedy for the unprepared, but it is a massive opportunity for the realist. If you can accept that the old rules are dead, that saving 10% isn't enough, that a college degree isn't a golden ticket, that your house is not a retirement plan, you can position yourself on the right side of this divide. I have spent my life studying the machinery of capitalism. I know how it works. It rewards capital and it punishes labor. For a brief period in history, labor was scarce enough that it was rewarded well. That period is over. Technology, globalization, and monetary policy have shifted the power back to capital. Today, I am going to walk you through the 7 middle-class traps that are keeping you poor. These are the behaviors, the purchases, and the beliefs that acted as status symbols in the past, but are acting as anchors today. And then I'm going to give you the owner's blueprint, the specific steps you need to take to stop being a renter of your life and start being the owner of your future. This is going to be a hard conversation. It requires you to admit that some of the things you are doing, things your parents told you to do, are wrong. But if you watch this until the end, you will have the clarity you need to survive 2026. The historical anomaly. First, you must understand why this is happening. The middle class was not the default state of humanity. For most of history, you had a few very rich people and a lot of very poor people. The post-World War II era created a unique set of conditions: cheap energy, young demographics, and a manufacturing boom that allowed labor to capture a huge share of wealth. That anomaly is correcting. We are returning to the historical norm. Capital, money, land, intellectual property, robots is becoming more valuable. Labor, your time, your physical effort, is becoming less valuable because it is competing with billions of people globally and increasingly with artificial intelligence. If you continue to sell your labor to buy liabilities, you will lose. You must start using your labor to buy capital. That is the only escape hatch. Let's look at the traps that prevent people from finding that hatch. Trap 1. The payment mentality. The greatest trick the financial industry ever pulled was convincing you to think in terms of monthly payments instead of total cost. Walk into a car dealership today. They don't tell you the car costs $50,000, they tell you it costs $700 a month. And because you make $4,000 a month, you think, I can afford that. No, you cannot. When you sign up for a payment, you are signing a contract to be a slave to your job for the next 5, 6, or 7 years. You are selling your future freedom for a heated seat today. The middle class is drowning in payments. Car payments, furniture payments, phone payments, affirm payments for clothes. Every payment is a leak in your boat. It reduces your free cash flow, the money you have left over to invest. The wealthy obsess over free cash flow. They want to maximize the gap between income and expenses. The middle class obsesses over affordability. They want to see how many payments they can stack before they break. In 2026, interest rates are not going back to zero. That $700 payment is going to cost you thousands in interest. If you want to escape the trap, you must declare war on payments. Drive the old car, sit on the old couch, use the old phone. Reclaim your monthly cash flow. That cash flow is your army. Stop sending your soldiers to fight for the bank. Trap 2. The forever mortgage. For decades, the advice was simple. Buy the biggest house you can qualify for. It's a good investment. In 2026, this advice is dangerous. A primary residence is a liability that might become an asset if you sell it in 30 years, but in the meantime, it eats. It eats taxes. It eats insurance, which is skyrocketing. It eats maintenance. It eats interest. The middle class often becomes house poor. They have a beautiful home, but they have zero liquidity. They can't quit the job they hate because they have a massive mortgage. They can't invest in a business because all their equity is trapped in drywall. Wealthy people view a home as a consumption item, not an investment. They buy what they can easily afford, often paying cash or putting down huge deposits to keep costs low. They prioritize mobility and liquidity over square footage. If 40 or 50% of your income is going to housing, you are statistically likely to remain middle class forever. You simply don't have enough capital left over to buy the real assets that build freedom. Downsize. Rent if the math makes sense. Do not let your house become your jail cell. Trap 3. The subscription death by 1,000 cuts. We have moved from an ownership economy to a rental economy. You don't own your movies, you rent Netflix. You don't own your music, you rent Spotify. You don't own your software, you rent Adobe. You don't own your food preparation, you rent DoorDash. These seem like small expenses, $15 here, $12 there, but stack them up. The average American household spends hundreds of dollars a month on subscriptions and convenience services. This is the silent tax of the 21st century. It is a friction on your wealth building. But more importantly, it is a mindset trap. It trains you to be a passive consumer. You are constantly feeding the beast. The wealthy own the subscriptions you pay for. They own the stock in Netflix. They own the stock in Uber. They are collecting the rent. You are paying it. Audit your life. If a subscription doesn't directly improve your productivity or your health, cut it. It's not about the $10. It's about the discipline. It's about stopping the slow bleed so you can clot the wound and build strength. Trap 4. The education premium fallacy. I believe in education. I read 6 hours a day, but I do not believe in paying $150,000 for a degree that has no market value. The middle class still views a university degree as a talisman against poverty. Parents go into massive debt or encourage their children to go into massive debt to get a good education. But in 2026, the market is ruthless. It does not care about your pedigree, it cares about your output. We have millions of people with master's degrees working in jobs that don't require them, carrying debt loads that act as a 20-year tax on their income. This is a trap. It delays your start in life. If you graduate at 22 with zero net worth, you are ahead of the person who graduates at 24 with minus $100,000. That debt forces you to take the safe corporate job instead of taking a risk. It forces you to delay buying a home or starting a family. If you are young, look at skills, not just degrees. Can you code? Can you sell? Can you fix things? Can you lead? These skills can often be learned for free or cheaply. Do not buy a brand-name degree if a generic one gets you the same result. The ROI of education has collapsed. Treat it like a business decision, not an emotional one. Trap 5. The upgrade cycle. Apple releases a new iPhone every year. Car companies release new models every year. Fashion trends change every season. The entire economy is designed to make you feel dissatisfied with what you already have. The middle class falls for this hook, line, and sinker. They upgrade their phone when the old one works perfectly. They buy new clothes because the old ones are out of style. They remodel their kitchen because it looks dated. This is the destruction of capital. Every time you upgrade a functional item, you are destroying the remaining value of the old item and paying a premium for the new one. You are voluntarily stepping onto a treadmill that goes nowhere. The wealthy are often incredibly boring consumers. I have worn the same style of suit for decades. I live in the same house. I don't care about the latest model. I care about the latest earnings report of the companies I own. You must break the psychological link between new and happy. Happiness comes from security. It comes from freedom. It comes from knowing you can walk away from a bad situation. A new phone gives you a dopamine hit for 24 hours. Financial freedom gives you a dopamine hit for the rest of your life. Trap 6. Saving in fiat currency. This is the trap of the prudent, the person who doesn't buy the fancy car, doesn't go into debt, but leaves all their money in a savings account. They think they are being responsible. In reality, they are being robbed. In 2026, the government's strategy for dealing with its massive debt is financial repression. This means keeping interest rates below the real rate of inflation. They are inflating away the debt, but they are also inflating away your savings. If you have $100,000 in the bank and inflation is 5%, you are paying a $5,000 annual tax on your prudence. You are the victim of the system. You cannot save your way to wealth in a fiat currency system. You must invest your way there. You must convert your labor into assets, stocks, real estate, gold, businesses, things that have intrinsic value. The middle class saves. The wealthy invest. The middle class is afraid of losing money in the market. The wealthy are afraid of losing purchasing power in the bank. You need to adopt the wealthy fear, not the middle class fear. Trap 7. Reliance on a single income stream. This is the most dangerous trap of all, the idea that having a job is safe. A job is a single point of failure. If you lose your job, your income goes to zero. You are 100% exposed to the whims of a single manager or the health of a single company. In 2026, companies are leaner, they use AI, they outsource, they cut costs ruthlessly. Loyalty is a relic of the past. If you rely on one paycheck, you are walking a tightrope without a net. The wealthy never rely on one income stream. They have dividends coming in, they have rents coming in, they have royalties, they have interest, they have business income. If one stream dries up, the river keeps flowing. The middle class trap is getting comfortable with the paycheck and never building the side streams. You must treat your job as your primary investor, not your savior. Use the income from your job to buy assets that create other income. Your goal should be eventually to have your investment income exceed your expenses. That is the definition of freedom. The escape plan: how to become an owner in 2026. So, how do you escape? How do you move from the dying middle class to the rising owner class? It is not easy, but it is simple. It requires a radical restructuring of your life for 24 to 36 months. Phase 1. The Purge. You need to stop the bleeding. Sit down tonight and look at every single expense. If it's a payment on a depreciating asset, kill it. Sell the car if you have to. Cancel the subscriptions. Stop eating out. This isn't about being miserable, it's about being strategic. You are gathering your resources for a siege. You need to create a gap between your income and expenses of at least 20%. If you can't cut expenses anymore, you must increase income. Drive an Uber, freelance, sell things, do whatever it takes to widen the gap. Phase 2, the fortress. Take that gap and build a cash fortress, 3 to 6 months of expenses. This is your freedom fund. It allows you to make decisions out of strength, not desperation. It allows you to say no to a bad boss. It protects you from the unexpected. Do not touch this money. It is the foundation of your new life. Phase 3, the acquisition. Once the fortress is built, every single dollar of your gap goes into acquiring assets. Start with the simplest, most powerful asset, the S&P 500. Buy the businesses of America. Buy the world. Use a low-cost index fund. Automate it. Dollar cost average. Then look at other assets. Real estate if the numbers work. Your own skills. The goal is to accumulate a critical mass of capital. The first $100,000 is the hardest. It is a grind. But once you have $100,000 working for you, the compound interest starts to help. You are no longer pushing the boulder alone. The boulder is starting to roll. Phase 4, the mindset shift. Stop thinking like a consumer, start thinking like a capitalist. When you see a long line at Starbucks, don't think, I want a coffee.
Think, Starbucks is making a fortune, I should own their stock. When you see rent prices going up, don't complain. Think, I need to own real estate. Align your interests with the forces that are shaping the economy. Inflation hurts consumers, but helps asset owners. Be an owner. The middle class is a comfortable place to be, until it isn't. It's a warm bath that is slowly getting cold. In 2026, the water is freezing. You have a choice. You can cling to the old model. You can complain that the system is unfair. You can hope that a politician will come and save you. Or you can save yourself. You can accept that the economy has changed. You can accept that you must become an investor, an owner, a producer. It requires discipline. It requires sacrifice. It ignores the Joneses who are financing their rich lifestyle with debt that will eventually crush them. But the reward is worth it. The reward is sleeping at night knowing you're secure. The reward is knowing your children will have options. The reward is true independence. The middle class is dead. Long live the owners. Join the owners. Start today. Subscribe to this channel. We are going to keep giving you the blueprint. We are going to keep telling you the truth that the mainstream media is too afraid to whisper. The world is changing. Change with it. Build your gap, buy your freedom, and never, ever look back.